Welcome to The Deep Dive, the show where we take a Premier League match that's got everyone talking, pull it apart, look at the data, and trying to figure out what on earth actually happened.
And today, well, today we're not just looking at a match. We're looking at a piece of sporting theater, a complete contradiction.
We are diving headfirst into Manchester United 0, Everton 1 from Monday, November 24th at Old Trafford. This wasn't just a shock result. This was a game where, every single advantage stats, history, home pitch, even a man advantage was with United.
And they walked away with absolutely nothing, well, nothing except a stadium full of furious fans and a few broken records they'd rather have kept intact.
Right. So our mission today is to really unpack this. We've got the official match reports, all the detailed stats from BBC Sport, and maybe most importantly, we've got the raw, explosive reactions from the fan communities. We're talking Red Devils, soccer, and a very, very happy Everton.
And the big question we have to tackle, the one that everything else sort of spins around, is this. How does a team at home, in good form, playing against 10 men for more than 80 minutes?
80 minutes.
How do they not just fail to win, but actually concede a goal and lose? It defies logic. The answers, I think, are in the details.
I think you're right. This one felt like more than just 3 points dropped. Okay, let's get into it.
So to really get the full picture, you have to understand the context coming into the game. Manchester United were actually doing all right. They were on a 5-match unbeaten run.
Yeah, things were looking up. A win here would have pushed them into 5th place, right into that Champions League conversation. The momentum was there.
It absolutely was. And for Everton, well, they were just looking for points, weren't they? You go to Old Trafford, you're hoping for a draw, maybe nick a win if you're lucky. You're just trying to keep your head above water.
But their start, you couldn't have written a more disastrous opening.
Oh, it was a complete shambles. Before we even get to the main event, within the first 10 minutes, their captain, Seamus Coleman, goes down. Hamstring injury.
Straight away.
Instantly.
Yeah.
He's off. Jacob Bryan comes on. So right there, you're losing your leader, your captain, on the pitch at Old Trafford. That's a huge psychological blow.
The game plan is already out the window.
Yeah.
David Moyes is on the touchline, scrambling to reorganize everything.
Exactly. You'd think, okay, batten down the hatches, show some discipline, get to halftime.
But they didn't. Because what happens next is, frankly, one of the most bizarre things I think we'll see all season.
It's unbelievable. Just 3 minutes later, we're at the 13-minute mark, and Idrissa Gueye, a senior pro, gets a straight red card.
And not for bad tackle, not for a professional foul, for violent conduct.
Against his own teammate.
Against Michael Keene. After some sort of defensive mix-up, it was just complete madness.
The reports paint this picture of just pure chaos. Keene has a go at Gueye. Gueye just loses his head completely and lashes out.
And you see Jordan Pickford, of all people, having to physically restrain him. But not before he's already made contact. He struck Keene on the side of the face.
It's a total meltdown. The referee, Tony Harrington, has no choice. It's a straight red. And you can see Keene is he's doubly furious. He's just been slapped by his own teammate, and now he's got to defend for 80 minutes a man down. He's just gesturing, get off the pitch.
It's that infamous Boyer and Dyer moment all over again, isn't it? Just a complete breakdown of professional discipline on the biggest stage.
It is. And for Everton, you think that's it. Game over. You've lost your captain. You've lost a key midfielder. You're down to 10 men at Old Trafford because of an act of pure self-destruction. This is going to be a cricket score.
You really thought so.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, that red card was Everton's 110th in the Premier League. Puts them level with Arsenal for the most ever.
What a way to do it.
So the script is written. United are just going to walk all over them. The crowd is roaring. But football, as we know, is a funny old game.
It really is, because what followed was the biggest plot twist of all. Just as everyone was settling in for a United onslaught, Everton, against all odds, scored.
29 minutes on the clock. Kieran in Dewsbury Hall.
KDH. It's a lovely finish, actually. James Garner gets the assist, and we'll talk a lot more about his work rate later, and KDH just sort of curls it from the edge of the box.
I think the keeper, Senna Lamens, was maybe a bit unsighted, but it was a quality strike.
And what's amazing is the detail behind it. KDH is known for his left foot, right? This was his 5th goal in the Premier League, but the very first one with his right foot.
No way.
Yeah, he even said afterwards, I didn't even know I had that in my locker, but I'll take it. It was one of those moments that just comes out of nowhere.
A complete bolt from the blue, and suddenly the entire narrative of the game just flips on its head.
Completely. Now Everton have something to defend. And historically, this is a massive moment for them. The last time they won a Premier League game after having a player sent off in the first half was way back in 2006 against Spurs. So now they have to defend this lead, this historical anomaly, for what, 60, 70 minutes?
It set up an absolute siege, a masterclass in just pure backs-to-the-wall defending.
It really did. The drama of those first 30 minutes gave way to this tense tactical battle.
Which brings us perfectly to the data, because this is where the result goes from being just a surprise to something genuinely statistically baffling.
The numbers are just, they're staggering. You look at them and you just can't believe the scoreline was 1-0 to Everton.
Let's start with the big one, possession. Manchester United had 69.6%.
So basically 70% of the ball.
70%. Everton had just over 30. And then you look at shots. United had 25 shots in the game.
25. And Everton, just 3 shots in the entire 90 minutes.
And on target, United had 6, which isn't a bad return. It shows they were creating chances. Everton had 1.
The goal.
The goal. 1 shot on target, 1 goal. Clinical doesn't even begin to cover it.
But the stat that really, for me, damns United is the expected goals. The XG.
Oh, yeah. This is the killer.
United's XG was 1.66. Now, for anyone listening, that basically means, given the quality and location of the shots they took, an average team should have scored at least 1, probably 2 goals.
It's the statistical proof that the chances were there. Good chances, too.
Exactly. And Everton's XG.
A tiny .23. It's a statistical miracle that they won this game. It just shouldn't happen.
It really shouldn't, and it tells you 2 things, doesn't it? A complete failure of finishing and creativity from United, and an absolutely heroic defensive performance from Everton.
Let's talk about those heroes, because there were a few. You have to start with Jordan Pickford in goal.
Man of the match, and rightly so. An 8.65 rating, which is huge. The official stats say 6 crucial saves.
But it was when he made them. That save late on from Joshua Zirkzee's header, that it felt like the moment. That was the chance.
It was a brilliant save. And then another one in injury time from De Ligt. He was just a wall. The Everton fans online were saying things like they should build him a statue. One person joked he could save a marriage.
He was on another level. But you have to give massive credit to the 2 guys in front of him, especially Michael Keene.
Absolutely. I mean, think about his night. He gets into a bust-up with his own teammate, gets a slap in the face, and then has to marshal the defense for the rest of the game.
And he was magnificent. Him and Tarkowski were just immense. The joke on the Everton forums was that the slap woke him up.
Turned him into prime Baresi for a night.
It really did. He just rose above all of it and put in a colossal performance.
And the other unsung hero in all this was the striker, Tierno Barry.
Oh, his stats are unbelievable. His job was just to be an outlet, to win headers, to relieve pressure.
And did he ever? He won 14 aerial duels in that game.
14?
Which the stats guys tell us is 2 more than any other player has managed in a single Premier League game all season.
That is incredible, and it tells you exactly what United's tactic was, doesn't it?
It does. We'll get to it, but it was just lump it into the box, and Barry, Keene, Tarkowski just ate it up all night.
And after that goal in the 29th minute, Everton didn't have another single shot.
Not one.
It was pure defensive discipline. 44 clearances they made in total. Just get it away, reset, and go again.
Which all leads to this final, crushing historical statistic for Manchester United.
This is the one that really hurts. Before this match, Manchester United had never, ever lost a home Premier League game when playing against 10 men.
Never. In 46 previous attempts, their record was 36 wins and 10 draws.
30 years of the Premier League. Dozens and dozens of games with a man advantage at Old Trafford, and they had never lost.
Until now, until this night. It's a monumental failure. It elevates this from a bad result to a truly humiliating one.
A piece of unwanted history. It's folklore for Everton, but for United, it's just an absolute low point.
It really is. And you can see that reflected perfectly in the manager's reactions after the game.
Let's start with Ruben Amorim. You didn't even need to hear what he said. You could just see the look on his face.
Yeah.
He was incandescent.
He was. The word used in the reports was furious. And his frustration wasn't just with the result. It was with the whole approach.
He felt they started badly, even before the red card. But his main criticism, and this is so damning, was about the reaction to the man advantage.
He said it himself, and I'm quoting here, "We didn't understand how we should play against 10 men."
For a manager to say that about his players, that's brutal.
It's an indictment of their football intelligence, isn't it? He said he was more worried about the feeling during the game than the result itself. A feeling of kind of lethargy, like they didn't know what to do.
Instead of taking control, pinning them back, being patient, he said they gave Everton big spaces. They let them win second balls. They played right into their hands.
It just speaks to a complete lack of tactical flexibility. They got this huge gift, and they didn't have a clue how to unwrap it. Amorim said they dropped the level and lacked quality.
It sounds like he felt they almost panicked. They resorted to just pumping crosses in, which was never going to work. For your manager to basically say, you don't understand football?
Yeah. It's a huge problem. And then you contrast that with David Moyes.
Oh, this was his night, wasn't it? His first ever Premier League win as a visiting manager at Old Trafford.
On his 18th attempt. He's been trying for years. You can only imagine the personal satisfaction for him.
Absolutely. And his take on the Gueye incident was just classic Moyes.
It was brilliant man management, in a way. He came out with that headline, quote, "I quite like my players fighting each other. It shows they care."
You can't help but laugh. He's basically taken this moment of utter disgrace and spun it into a positive. He's framed it as passion.
He has. He acknowledged that, by the letter of the law, that's a red card, but he just kept talking about the resilience and toughness it showed from the team to respond.
And to be fair to Guy, the reports say he apologized to everyone in the dressing room afterwards and thanked the team for bailing him out.
Which they did. And Moyes was just beaming, wasn't he? He praised Pickford, saying he's as good a goalkeeper as anybody. He praised KDH's goal. He just looked like a man who'd pulled off the perfect heist.
The contrast is just so stark. You've got Amorim furious about a lack of understanding and intensity from his team.
And Moyes celebrating the sheer grit and fight of his. One manager saw tactical failure, the other saw a triumph of will.
That Moyes quote is going to live on for a long time. It's pure, pragmatic, no-nonsense Moyes.
It absolutely is. And it perfectly sets the stage for the fan reaction, because on the United side, this wasn't just seen as a bad day at the office.
No, this was seen as something much deeper, a symptom of a bigger problem. The final whistle was met with sustained boos around Old Trafford.
And that mood was reflected everywhere online. On the Red Devil subreddit, the words being thrown around were just savage, lethargic, shite, no urgency.
The overwhelming feeling was that the 5-match unbeaten run had been papering over the cracks. That this result was the real Manchester United and the wins were the anomaly.
Yeah, that the bubble has burst. It was a real reality check for them.
Let's dig into some of the specifics, because the fans were not holding back on individuals. Bruno Fernandes, the captain, got a lot of criticism.
A huge amount. Not just for giving the ball away cheaply, but for his attitude. The complaining, the negativity when things weren't going his way.
But there was a tactical criticism too, wasn't there? About his position.
Yes. A lot of fans feel he is absolutely not a central midfielder in this system. Playing him deeper means he loses the ball in really dangerous areas, and it blunts his best attribute, which is his creativity in the final third.
He looked a bit lost, didn't he? Caught between two roles.
He did. And then you have the striker, Joshua Zirkzee. He really became the focal point for a lot of the frustration.
To be fair to him, he was only playing because Keene and Sesko were both injured. But he had a very, very poor game.
The fans were brutal. They called him average, ineffective, a dud. And it all links back to the team's tactics.
Exactly. The plan became spam crosses into the box. But Zirkzee's not an aerial presence. He was up against Keene and Tarkowski, who are absolute monsters in the air.
It was playing to Everton's biggest strength and his biggest weakness. He was losing all those duels. It was a completely pointless tactic without a target man like Sesko on the pitch.
The wingbacks, Borgu and Mazraoui, also got slated for not providing enough quality from out wide. The whole attacking structure just seemed to fall apart.
It did. But the real deep-seated anger was reserved for the manager, for Ruben Amorim's tactical inflexibility.
This was the big one. The fact that he stuck with 3 center backs for the entire game.
For 80-plus minutes against 10 men who had one striker up front, it makes no sense.
You had Yoro, De Ligt, and Luke Shaw all playing as center backs. And the fans were asking, quite rightly, why the flank do you need 3 center backs to deal with 1 striker?
It's a perfectly valid question. By keeping them on, he was essentially wasting a player. He failed to create an overload in midfield, which is the first thing you should do against 10 men.
The consensus was that he should have taken off a defender, maybe Yoro, straight after the red card and brought on another midfielder like Menu.
Of course. That would have pushed the whole team further up the pitch, penned Everton in, and allowed United to control the second balls. Instead, they were left with this huge gap in the middle of the park.
And it meant Moyes' 5-3-1 shape worked perfectly. Everton knew exactly what United were going to do, They knew the crosses were coming, and they were set up perfectly to deal with them.
The lack of an in-game adjustment was just fatal. It turned what should have been a massive advantage into a sort of psychological burden.
And the wider picture is now a real concern for them. This result brings back all the questions about inconsistency. The squad depth looks like a major issue, especially with those injuries.
And you've got AFCON coming up in January. They're set to lose Mbemo, Ahmad, and Mazraoui.
If they can't break down 10-man Everton, how are they going to cope without 3 more key players?
It's a worry. The mood has shifted dramatically. A week ago, they were looking at the top 4. Now fans are worried they'll be struggling to make the top half of the table. It feels like a real moment of crisis.
A crisis brought on by one bizarre, inexplicable result. Now, let's flip the coin and talk about Everton, because for them, this was a night they will never, ever forget.
Oh, this was legendary stuff, an all-timer. The sheer joy on their side of things was just as intense as the fury on United's.
And the first thing they were celebrating, hilariously, was the league table.
Of course. The win put them level on points with United on 18, but more importantly, for a little while at least, it put them above Liverpool on goal difference.
Merseyside is blue.
The forums were just flooded with it, absolute delirium, and you can't blame them. To get that result in those circumstances and have that little bit of bragging right over your rivals, it's perfect.
And what's so interesting is that the Gueye red card, that moment of madness, actually ended up becoming part of this narrative of resilience.
It did. KDH said it himself. He said that the incident probably made us grow even more as a team. It's incredible. Instead of fracturing them, it somehow galvanized them.
The fans certainly had fun with it. The running joke was that the slap was a tactical masterstroke from Gueye to rattle United's weak minds.
My favorite was the comment that Ghana died so Keene could live. It was just this perfect, dark football humor celebrating Keene's brilliant performance that came after it.
And there was so much praise for the individuals who put in that massive shift. We've talked about Pickford and Keene, but James Garner got so much credit.
A phenomenal work rate. Moyes described him as being drenched in sweat after every game, and you could see it. He was everywhere. He epitomized that collective effort.
In KDH, the goal scorer, he seems to be loving life at Everton. He was saying it's the perfect example of an exciting project and that the fans make him want to run through brick walls for them.
You can see that connection. It's a team that's fighting for each other and for the shirt. And we have to mention Thierno Barry again.
We do. Those 14 aerial duels. The fans absolutely recognized how crucial his role was. Without him as an outlet, that defensive wall would have crumbled eventually. He was the unsung hero of the night.
It was just one of those special nights, wasn't it? And I was there night for the Everton fans. Only their second ever Premier League win at Old Trafford.
Given the drama, the Moyes milestone, the leapfrogging Liverpool, this is a result that will go down in their club's folklore. A victory snatched from the jaws of chaos.
So when we pull it all together, what does this one match really tell us?
I think for Manchester United, it's a huge warning sign. This wasn't just dropping points. This exposed a really deep tactical rigidity under Amorim. A failure to adapt when the game was handed to them on a plate.
They had all the stats on their side, all the advantages, and yet they looked completely devoid of ideas, of leadership, of intensity. It feels like a systemic problem, not just a one-off bad performance.
And for Everton, it's the complete opposite. A victory built on nothing but pure grit, spirit, and an inspired goalkeeper.
And perhaps catalyzed by a moment of internal combustion. They somehow found this incredible unity right when they should have fallen apart. It's a testament to their collective character.
The road ahead for both is massive now. United have to go to Crystal Palace next, away from home. They need a huge reaction.
They do, and Everton will be absolutely flying. They host Newcastle, and they'll be full of confidence, feeling like they can beat anyone after that performance.
It'll be fascinating to see how both teams respond.
It will, and to leave you with one final thought, something to really chew on, it's about David Moyes. We know this was his first Premier League win at Old Trafford as a visitor, on his 18th try.
A huge moment for him.
A huge moment. But given the ridiculous, chaotic way it happened, the red card, the single wonder strike, the backs-to-the-wall defending, does this win cement his reputation not just as a survivor, but as the ultimate master of, for want of a better word, shithousing a result? Finding a way to win when logic, stats, and history all say you have absolutely no right to. Is that his true genius? Something for you to ponder.